Utility prices, are they going up, up, and up without an end? We know that there's war in Ukraine. We already know that there's domestic fuel prices increasing. But as a UK landlord, this is very concerning. What can you do to stop these increases? And indeed, how can you minimize the level of utility bills coming through your door? Check out this video from the Property Experts panel. In this country alone, we had rising utility prices going through the roof. We've got Ukraine. It's inevitable that it's going to be going up. And we talked off air about how you might insulate your property, because we're going to have to do something, aren't we, with the way our heating is. So as a group, individually, what are we now thinking about doing? So let's go around there, because Louise is always talking about solar panels, putting those in place and making sure we underheat floor, underheating.
Floor heating.
Never get that terminology. Thank you. Yeah, I made a right hash of that. I'll edit that out. No one can beat me. But those kind of things are certainly things that Louise and I are talking about. Let's just go around. Bronwyn, Teresa, and then onto the gents. So starting with you, Teresa, to Bronwyn, what do you think about doing with rising utility prices?
Well, yes, it's inevitable, isn't it? The big thing is for me, to find a broker who can help me manage this, because you've got quite an administrative burden as well. Now, obviously, utility bills are a problem for us with HMOs, not if it's a single let, because of course you're not paying that bill. But you do have to think of the tenants that you've got, if they can afford it. But so for HMOs and for commercial properties, and I run a few guest houses, you can imagine that my utility bills are pretty steep. So the key for me is to fix the rates as quickly as possible. And my broker contacted me in February, beginning of Feb, and said, I think you need to fix some of these because of what's going to be happening this year. So we normally fix, we then review them, and this broker is, he helps do all of them. He tells me when they're expiring, he tries to bring them to the same expiry date, and he has the whole of the market to choose from in terms of pricing. It's also commercial pricing, which is cheaper. So that's one of the key points. I think I'll let someone else speak. I've got other points as well, but let's move to Teresa.
Yeah, I just want to just bring in about the minimum energy efficiency standards that the government are focusing on improving the energy efficiency of the rental sector. So currently at the moment, if you've got a property that's rated on the energy performance certificate as an E and above, then you are legally allowed to rent that out. But they are planning on raising that, and they have muted at a minimum rating of a C in the not too distant future. So they've not actually confirmed, but that's the way they are moving. So we are educating our landlords on how to improve the energy efficiency of their properties. And it can just be like the very basics, really, just insulating the fabric of the building. So making sure that, you have got double glazing and, the 300 mil of loft insulation, things like that. And that's basically, I just wanted to add that we as a sector, we need to be looking at improving the energy efficiency anywhere, which will then have a knock-on effect in the amount of utilities that you do use, obviously with the rising prices.
Obviously, I was good before you just jump in there, Ross, because I know you're inevitably the man to speak about this. But Simon, Tim, what are you doing about your own personal properties? Obviously, it's a scary moment seeing your utility prices increasing. How are you monitoring the usage, and what are you going to do about making sure your properties are insulated? So start with you, Tim.
The HMO was done about 3 years ago, so that's pretty efficient. We're also lucky because we actually, I guess we saw that some prices were going to increase, so we fixed them last year. But I think one thing is certain, this is merely what Teresa mentioned in terms of regulation, is only the first. Climate change is very real. Government is going to spend a fortune, and it will find other people to spend a fortune. I'm afraid landlords will be one of their targets. So I think this is probably just the first stage. There'll be many more things that will be there. So if you are doing renovations now, I would have thought, and again, this is something Ross can comment on, it's probably better to do it now as part of a strategy if you're actually doing an upgrade or a renovation or a refurb now, rather than having to do it separately in a few years' time. But it's very real, yeah. And we will probably need to look a bit further.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone's out there, they've got a property they haven't remortgaged for a little while, or something they've been holding for a while, or you've just bought something, or you're buying something to renovate, green EPC mortgages are all the thing kind of within the your mortgage market. So you'll get a discount on the normal published rate. So over a period of time, you will save some money on your energy bill, in your mortgage bill. But that will then allow you to then, you've put in, let's say, a better boiler. So generally on an EPC, if you've done loft insulation, floor insulation, wall insulation, double glazing, and an up-to-date boiler, condensing boiler, the chances are you will be at or about a C just by doing those things. So first of all, you can save on your mortgage by doing that. If you put a modern condensing boiler in, you've made that as efficient as it possibly can. So that will help reduce bills. And then, the next thing is to do as Bronwyn's done, which is to forward think how you buy in your energy and to fix those prices by using potentially a commercial agent to fix them. That's the way I see it. Ross is going to tell us all about the building bit.
Ross,
Okay.
the red royal carpet is outlaid just for you. So come on, sir.
Right, so whilst they're all speaking, I've been hurriedly writing notes down here. So to pick up on a point Teresa made, EPCs and getting to a C, you will not get to a C using electricity. The electricity in this country is still massively produced by fossil fuels, i.e. gas or coal, not so much coal these days, but we're not reliant on nuclear in this country yet. So electrical will never raise your EPC. On a real time, on my HMO, I was just comparing with the price cap, which is coming in at the end of this month, I believe. I've been forewarned that my electricity is going from 20.76p per kilowatt hour to 29.63p per kilowatt hour. The standing day charge, from 23 to 32p. On gas, 4.18p per kilowatt hour to 7.51 pence per kilowatt hour, which is just under double. Comparing that with the price caps, that is almost on the price cap. So these energy companies are coming for us at the top rates that they can get away with. And as usual, nobody will sympathise with you being a landlord because we're all really rich, aren't we? So pens and paper. This is my top tips for energy reduction in your properties right now. These are easy things you can do. So LED lights, get around your properties. If you've got the little recessed downlighters, you can buy high efficiency LED ones. Don't go for cheap ones. Go for the middle market with a branded name, Osram or Philips, something like that, where they're going to last, because there's nothing more annoying than changing LEDs every 5 minutes. Heating controls is probably the biggest one out there. Not many people have decent heating controls. They have a glorified domestic system. Invest in a hive. You can control that on your phone. You can have multiple hives on one phone, so it can be done. But just look at your controls, look at when it's coming on, look at when it's going off. If you go into your HMOs, check that nobody's, or any rental property that you're paying for the gas and electric, check nobody's actually switched it to on the control. Especially this time of year, they just put it to on because they want it on all day long and all night long.
Just on that point, Ross, talking about hives, we're not talking about bees.
No, sorry, no. I'm talking about wireless.
It's a brand,
yeah.
Is it?
It's a British gas brand. It's probably the market leader. There are loads out there now. But it is a control system.
If he was the editor right now, Ross, I'd have to edit that straight away, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Oh. Look, again, sorry, I'm butting in as ever. But I've got quite a few HMOs, and Ross knows quite a lot of them. And I'm thinking, I don't have this hive system. And I probably need to. So I have holiday lets. So of course, these are the ones that you really, you have to look at. Holiday lets and HMOs, where you are responsible for, and any serviced accommodation, you're responsible for the bills. So anyone who's got portfolios, this is probably the hive you recommend?
Or similar. Right, insulation. Obviously, roof spaces, 150 mils an absolute minimum. 300 mils fantastic, but make sure your roof can still breathe. That means that you've still got vents and the air can flow through it. If you're going to insulate your walls, check your property. If it's a newish property, I'm fairly comfortable. As it gets older, as the bricks get older and they're porous, be really careful what you put in your walls. We had a lady on here a couple of months ago saying that she'd had it all taken out and it was literally sopping wet. So just be really careful what you're putting in, do some research. We've spoken about boilers, a high efficiency boiler. A high efficiency boiler should have an efficiency rate of 97% or above, which most of the brand leaders do. Not only that, when you're going to change your boiler, get your system flushed, get it cleaned. Change your TRVs if they're not working. That's your thermostatic rad valves, the little adjuster on each radiator, and make sure it's balanced. And by balancing, I mean one radiator's piping hot and the rest are all cold. So somebody goes and puts the heating on. A balance is fairly easy to do. Most plumbers can do it. Tim, Simon, I'm going to talk as quick as I can. Windows, double glazed units, absolutely essential. Make sure they're sealed. Doors the same, make sure you've got good quality doors that are double glazed and insulated. Water tank, your immersion heater, if you've got one, make sure the jacket's good. Get a new jacket, they're really cheap, really easy to put on, put another jacket on it. Or, as we've spoken about, megaflows, get a megaflow. And somebody mentioned underfloor heating. Yes, I'm a great lover of underfloor heating, albeit most underfloor heating systems are electric these days. They're great for small bathrooms and en suites. I have put in underfloor wet systems, which are probably the most efficient way of heating your home or an HMO. And
what about underfloor heating? Not underfloor, the one I got wrong. Underfloor pumps, heat source pumps. And not a good idea?
So, yeah, a great idea.
Air source heat pumps.
Well, air source heat pumps are effective. They're meant to be effective down to -10. All that happens is the temperature gets colder and you can't extract heat out of the air anymore as you switch to electrical load. So it's like an air conditioning unit, but working in reverse. So air source heat pumps, photovoltaics or PV panels on your roof, solar panels, heat collectors on your roof, all great things to have, but very, very expensive. And again, as landlords who are trying to make an HMO working financially, you've got to be careful what you're going to spend. High efficiency boiler at the moment is as good as.
Hopefully that video was useful for you, but please do not stop there. There are plenty of videos that I know that will help you build your wealth whilst reducing your tax liability. And in this video, well, this is the one I think you should be watching right now.